wanted to be a sportscaster because of my dad. He was an athlete, and he broke the color barrier at West Point.
Oh.
He was the first black man to ever play varsity football at Army, and he was an All-American.
He's a military man?
And he served 23 years, retired Army colonel from West Point. But I didn't know about the race part of it. I didn't know that he was the first black man to do that. And the reason I didn't know is because he didn't talk about it. I learned that from other people, from other legendary coaches like Bill Parcells and Lee Corso and Bob Knight, who at Army was the basketball coach at West Point when my dad was a student there. And I thought, Dad, this is history. You did something that no black man had ever done, and it was not easy in the 60s. People made it very clear that he was not welcome at times. Not at West Point. They were great there, but other places. And I asked him once, why didn't you ever talk about that? Because I know it was hard at times, being the only one. And he looked at me and my brothers, and he said, what was the exact quote? Because I get emotional. He said, somebody had to be the first. It just happened to be me. And what does that have to do with me being a father? So that's how I was raised.
Being the first quote-unquote black of anything is nothing compared to being a father. Gary Steele naturally knew that being a father is vital in his children's lives, not football. His instinct was backed by research that suggests competent fathers' children outcomes are on par with those of competent parents raising their children. Now check it. According to studies, single mother children compared to single fathers in attached households are 5 to 10 times more likely to commit suicide, drop out of high school, and abuse drugs, and 14 to 30 times more likely to commit rape, go to prison, and run away from home. 70% of children mothered household constitute 70% of child murders, pregnancies, and the majority of filicide cases. Sadly, a fatherless child is more likely to be murdered by their parent. About 46% of so-called black children are raised by single mothers. About half of that percentage is raised by single Hispanic mothers. Single Caucasian mothers are at about 13%, and Asian single mothers are dead last at about 8%. Wow. Now let's put this in perspective. According to the FBI statistics, the demographic with the most single mother percentage-wise just happens to commit the most murders at about 33 per 100,000. And the demographic headed by more fathers percentage-wise, murder rate is about 2 per 100,000. A coincidence? Nah. Positive and negative correlations? Yep. That said, the scriptures say, listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. How can children listen to their father's instructions if they are not in the home due to 70% of women filing for divorce? Is it because of feminism? Maybe.
So I think that we have to catch children. I know this, it almost sounds culty, but minds are malleable at any age. But we have to, I think, catch children and just raise them with logic and nurturing. And I think they'll come out ahead. Honorable conversations cannot be had with someone who's hysterical. I think that most feminists are pretty hysterical. Men and women. So let's catch them before that. So I think of feminism, it's just a thing that women do. It's a club. It's a sisterhood. I have no problem with that, but it's kind of, no, it is toxic. I think of gangs for men, well, and women. Maybe this is a gang. Maybe it is a gang. So how do we catch that before? Well, my idea is to keep families intact. Girls with no fathers in the home have lower self-esteem. Okay, fine, that sucks, but also women with low self-esteem are more promiscuous. Boys girls with high self-esteem don't have, sex. Boys with high self-esteem have more sex, but hopefully they're covering that over there. No father families more likely to be victims of abuse, especially with single mothers. Single mothers men just tend to be more predatorial. But either way, there's violence and abuse. And this is sexual and physical. We know this. Children with high BMI more often come from fatherless homes. Here's something interesting. Say that word. I can't say it. I'll throw it to her. Thank you. Fathers have the fittest children. I thought that was kind of cool. I'm not saying that I want that, but you just be whatever you want. But that was really interesting to me. The more opportunities a child has to interact with biological father, the less likely they are to commit a crime or have contact with the juvenile justice system. Okay, another way to say that is men and women who are incarcerated, the population of the prisons mostly encompass fatherless homes. Now here's something that no one else has mentioned, which I think is cool, and I don't really say this eloquently. If a man and wife raise a child, they're less likely to end up in jail, but they have the same statistical chance as children raised by just their father. So if we want to keep children, adults, out of prison, mother, father, or just father. Well, we don't want to hear just father, so let's try to keep the families intact. I think that just seems better. And the other thing I would say, and no one talks about this, if you, and I didn't know if I was going to talk about this or not either, but if you get a divorce, you're going to have to live and die with it. And I don't want you to, at the end of your 5 minutes, to realize that you took advantage of a system. Like, I understand that you can get a lot of money, but you don't have to do that. I just want you to have integrity. In those moments of existence and importance, you realize what is important. It is God and family and life and light. So, if you get a divorce, try to be nice. And if a woman that you know, especially for women, ladies, if you have a lady friend who's going to get a divorce, please help her not feel like a victim and manipulative and vicious, because that's not a good place to make decisions from. Okay? And please counsel her to share that time with their father, without a fight, because the children will grow up and they will not be pleased with mama. So how do we keep families intact? Okay, so when I do a video about relationships, they're always inspired from my husband. So I'll just stare at my husband, and I love him so much that an idea will come to me, and then I feel like if it's noble or not to share with the world. So this one is